Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel. We're at Autoshack and this week we've got a low van episode. We've had this T5 transporter in a few times now, and it originally came to us a couple of years ago to have a second-hand air ride kit fitted. We don't usually fit second-hand parts here, but it all looked okay, so we put it all on, and he uses a van. He tows a caravan with it, and it's a pretty good kit. It's got height sensors on each corner, so even when the rear is loaded down, the air ride compensates, and it always stays level to the preset settings. But a couple of weeks ago, he sent us a message and said he's got a problem. He is driving along, there's an almighty bang, and the front left just fell to the floor. The problem with these air ride cars is if you do have a bag go pop, there's no spring assist, that is it. You're on the floor to either the wishbones bottoming out or the subframe sitting on the floor. This van does look a bit funny, all its proportions are wrong because it's a T5 transporter and the roof is at head height. It's got these massive 20-inch wheels that sucked right up in the wheel arch, but luckily these have huge arches on the front so it swallows them up and we were able to drive it and get it in. And also luckily it's done no damage to any of the wheel arches. This is the corner that actually went pop, and as you can see it has been swallowed up in there. But the arches on these are huge, and luckily it's done no damage to the wing or the door. Just sucked the splash guard in a bit. So let's try and get this on the ramp and see where the problem is. Boy, oh boy, do we have something to see here. So I started jacking it up. There's the strut. I think that should be a bit more attached than that. What in the world do we have here? So that's not right. There's the strut. The top mount has fell out. I think it's broken the shock. There's the airline. Airline's still attached. It's come off the top of the shock. Wow. All right, strip this down. Bits falling out everywhere. Well, the top mount fell straight out. There's the strut, and there is the other part of the strut. Actually snapped the top off. Everything else looks all right. The airline itself is all intact. So it's not actually an airbag failure. The shock itself has snapped. Well, haven't seen that before. On these transporters, the top mounts are under the scuttle. Get this off. Down here. There is the top of the shock. Not ideal. I have managed to get the bag to reseal on the strut. So I'm hoping we can get it up in the air while we order the parts and wait for them to come in so it's not stuck in here. I can air it right up and get it outside. So let's see if it will air up. Ooh. Well, that'll certainly make things easier getting it back out again. Well, that is good news because it looks like the airbags are holding the air perfectly. That front hasn't dropped, so it's just going to be a case of ordering a new shock. These have got air ram or something like that. I didn't recognise the make, so we'll get a pair of struts on order. We've just had a delivery from Only Charged Dubs, and these should be our shocks. Open me for Alice in Wonderland. Sweet stickers and instructions. What more could you want? Overnight parts from Yorkshire. Perfect. New lines and the new bags. These look so much more substantial than the ones that are on it. Right, let's get stripping down. And it's going to be a little bit easier to get it up on the ramp now it's aired up. Easy as that. Hold on in there, buddy. Once it's on the lift, I aired it all out so we can take all the airlines out and we won't be shot with 100 psi, but not ideal. But it got us back in, so let's get this one out, get the new one in. And these are definitely much more substantial bags. When these are stretched out, they'll be as tall as them, but you can see diameter wise, these ones are much heavier duty. And the other thing this always had problems with is turning, it would bind up on the top mounts, whereas these ones have bearings for the top mounts to locate in and spin. So that could have been some of the problem why this one gave up. And also these ones have the plastic lines going all the way up to the bag itself, whereas these ones have a braided flexi going off, so it's loads better. So we'll get that P clipped in to the inner leg and then that can turn as well. There you can see on this one, the plastic hard pipe goes all the way up, so turning that's always flexing. They've held on well and they've got a good fitting at the top, but it's just going to be loads better with this more substantial flexi in there. So we're nearly out, get that off and top mount. Let's see if I can pop this one out with some Super-On PSI. Halfway. Done it. So I got the old setup worked out. They had loads of spacers on the strut and they relied on this rose joint for turning on corners, but it just bound up, didn't work. This was clamped on with just these little bearings and it just didn't work. So what these new ones have got is they've got bearings on the top how it should have. So it's got the centre bit and then this bit moves, which locates on that, which means the bag will spin with the strut, but the top mount, these are the standard top mounts it should have, they locate on there, so that can spin independently to the bag, which I think is where these ones always used to bind up. Then you get this bit, clamps the top mount to the body, so it'll be the other way around. The top mount will stay still and the bag will turn on steering. And that's how it should work. So let's get these all on. And we're all on. New bags all installed, we're all aired up, no leaks. So you can see we've got the braided hose going right to the bag and it's got a good anchor point there, just like the brake flexi. So that'll be all good. We're all clipped in and it joins to the plastic hose, nice and neat there. Got new drop links on this side because that one was broken. Got a new CV boot. Got all the height sensors back attached. And same on this side as well. All on and good. And with the air ride complete, we just got to give it a quick service now and then a test drive. And we are all serviced. Got all the under trays back on. Looking a bit war damage there from where they're scraping on the floor. And got all the splash guards in as well. Some battle scars on them where the wheel was rubbing, where it collapsed. But they're all in and fitting nicely. So I greased up all the height sensors, so it's all ready for its new calibration for the new front bags. Got this one all greased up as well. And the same on the back. All the brackets there that I made before are still looking good, all greased up. And rear bags are all fine as well. Here is the air tank, and I made sure I put it right forward so you can still use the spare wheel well. So nice and practical. So let's get it back down. See what it looks like. let's take us out for a little test drive. The E-level has done its preset, so we did an auto calibration, so it just goes all the way up, all the way down, and reads all its sensors, and it presets a 1, 2 and 3, which 1 is at 10%, so the bags are nearly empty, so that's all the way aired out, and 50% ride height, and then it pumps up to 90% if you want to get over everything. So it seems to drive really nice. Got these new bigger bags in, which just give a little bit more cushion, a little bit more comfort. So there's no clonks and bangs, everything's nice and smooth. I think we are good to go. We're full on in the countryside, so even on a road like this, on the air ride, it's a really smooth ride. And when he tows it with his caravan and loads it all up for camping trips, because it's got the sensors all round, it just compensates out and sets it to the height that it needs to be. So that's going to wrap up this one. We'll get it all cleaned up and ready for the customer to collect. But he's had a very, very lucky escape with this one. Usually when an air ride car airs out, you have no suspension, and it just absolutely smashes into the wing, smashes into the door, everything, and just takes a real mess. But luckily everything cleared and it just sucked itself into the splash guard. So it could have been a whole load more expense added onto the bill. But luckily 2 new struts, which are a great upgrade anyway, and we are good to go. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you give it a like and be sure to subscribe, because there's no telling what we've got next in Autoshack. Sometimes it's a van day, sometimes it's a supercar day, so make sure you tune in. But until next time, make sure you have fun.